In this video, I'm going to take 15 minutes to give you 15 reasons why I absolutely love designing interactive stories and the skills that you actually get to develop when you design an interactive story. And I think this is going to be valuable for those of you who are interested in getting into this field, maybe augmenting your instructional design career with this kind of skill set. And it'll give you a kind of a depth and breadth of what exactly it takes to develop an interactive story, and maybe get you a little bit excited about some of the different aspects that you might not know actually existed as a part of developing those kinds of projects. So I hope you stick around to the end to hear all 15 and enjoy yourself. Now, if you're new to this channel, my name is Sabramowicz, and of course I design interactive stories, and I help others do the same by coaching them in my coaching program. Now, without further ado, let's get started. The first reason is you get to flex that creative muscle. Now, this is so important for me. I think one of the things that I found really frustrating when I first started instructional design is that I had to work within constraints of templates. And I think a lot of us still do. Now, for me, it was that we would set up a template, or my organization would have a template at the very beginning, and I would have to follow that template. You get to become a storyteller. This is so cool. Now, I didn't think I would be a storyteller at all. This wasn't something that I actually flexed in any way. I definitely enjoy stories, but it wasn't something that I felt I was good at. And once you start really digging into storytelling, you realize that there are simple patterns that you can follow that help you craft a really meaningful story. Now, the other thing that this has really opened up my eyes to, which I really enjoy, is that there's a lot of people talk about this, like our organization has a lot of stories, but the challenge is that those stories usually are kind of like anecdotes. They're not really stories of transformation. They're not stories that help somebody who is listening to them get the lesson, right? They're just like, oh, listen to what happened to me. And that's a great story, but sometimes it doesn't have the impact that you want. And I think what's really cool about becoming a bona fide storyteller is that you can then take those anecdotes, you can gather those stories from those people and actually turn them into stories where somebody, after they go through them, feel transformed. They change in emotion, they change their behavior, and they change in their attitude because of the way you crafted those true events. Another thing that really you get so good at when you're crafting interactive stories is actually interviewing people. And I know that a lot of times what I used to do is I would talk to subject matter experts and I would expect them to give me their stories. And I would be like, tell me a story about this. And it would be kind of like, how do I use this? This is kind of flat, or I don't even know how to organize this into something that is meaningful for somebody else. So that's one of the things that I found that I really honed while crafting interactive stories. Yes, definitely I have a script that I follow in order to extract stories from people, but I realized that what happens with interviews is that it's not about necessarily making sure that they give you the story. It's what it is creating really good rapport with people off the bat. And then the other thing is really pulling those little nuggets out of them and having maybe three to five of those kinds of interviews that then you, as the storyteller, that's point number 2, can actually combine to create this based on true events story that then becomes something that is not necessarily a story of one person, but it resonates with that audience because it is based on the people that you've chosen to represent. You get awesome at script writing. I know it's totally weird because as instructional designers, we are used to storyboards, right? Now, interactive stories are different. They're more like movies than actual e-learning. So what happens is you have to get really good at script writing. And one of the things that I totally enjoy is reading movie scripts. Like one of the ones that I recommend everybody reads, especially in our course, is Glenn Ross. Because one of the things that happens there is you get to see what beautiful dialogue looks like. And I think that if you're crafting an interactive experience like that, which a lot of times is interactions between people, you have to start getting good at crafting dialogue. And so script writing and script reading is something that I think is so much fun because you get to check out really cool movies, but also how can you create a tempo and a feeling and an emotion and a motion forward so that somebody is excited to read what happens next because they want to see how it turns out. So those are the things to me that are kind of a surprise, but also really fun and a skill that I can take into other areas, of course, of instructional design. Another one, number 5, is game mechanics, getting awesome at that. Now, I didn't think I would be getting into games and game mechanics at all. I mean, I'm an instructional designer, really classical sense didn't really come into my world. But one of the things that I found is that what game mechanics can do in a great interactive story is take it to the next level by adding context and placing emphasis on things that are really meaningful for that environment or that you really want to draw out. So, for example, having during the gameplay or the story, having a meter or a couple of meters that draw to the attention things that are like characteristics of that situation. So maybe the character's ability to resolve something quickly versus being empathetic, and how those two things play out. So what it does is gameplay and knowing the core game mechanics and getting really comfortable using them can really enhance that experience beyond just being a great story. Visual storytelling, when you do it well, you can cut away 50%, even more of the words in your script because the story is being told by the visuals. When I'm allowed to infer from the visuals my own story and draw between the lines of what I'm thinking is happening in that interactive experience, that I make a deeper connection with that content, and it actually draws me in more because I'm allowed to make those statements in my head for myself. Also, there's this amazing aspect of visual delight when you use beautiful visuals. I know a lot of people say, oh, if you can just do it with words, do it with words. But I think that we can take it to the next level. If you can, why not? Why not show instead of telling? So, and that comes into another piece, which is this creative muscle, right? Is it either something that you can flex, or it's something that you can collaborate with others to flex if you don't feel that visual communication is something that you're strong in. But I got to tell you, all of these skills, I didn't come in with knowing all of them. One of the things that happens is as you develop, as you build a project, as you look at other projects, as you collaborate with people, as you get feedback, you get better and better and better and better at it. And that's one of the pieces that I think is really valuable here as well. And this is one of the skills that I love that I get to develop, is that you get to hone a specific project and a specific skill set over time. So when you work in instructional design, one of the things that happens is you end up being a jack of all trades, right? Now, this is what's amazing. When you craft an interactive story, there's frameworks and templates that you're working within, but there's this it's kind of like fluid, right? There's constraints, but it's fluid. And what happens is with each single project, you're able to stack on that skill set. You could say, oh, next project, I'm really going to focus on that visual communication, take it to the next level. Next project, I'm really going to focus on making sure I'm using different game mechanics to enhance this kind of experience. So what it allows you to do is it allows you to refine your skills over time in a specific area. Another wicked skill is getting great at UX, UI. So the user experience. One of the things that happens is you want people to stop thinking about the container that it's held in. So where the buttons are, how it functions, and all those things. If it's done well, it kind of falls away. And then the person is so comfortable using that really intuitive interface, and they get lost in the story. The other thing that a really good interface will do, and of course, I'm just, I'm learning all this as I go along, is that what it'll do is it'll be designed in a way that will help the learner complete the story. Number 8, discover cause and effect relationships. It's kind of cool how something as small as understanding the cause and effect in a single interaction can spread all the way out to how does this affect business. Getting great at prototyping. This is fun. So prototyping, listen, when I started prototyping, I used to develop things. Basically, I would hand things over and be like, guess what? I did this for you. It's done. And that has burned me so many times because I've lost basically all of that work. Sometimes has been absolutely discarded away because the client didn't like it. And I thought, I did all the research, I did all this, I talked to all these people, and the stakeholders still said, no, this is not us, we don't like it, this doesn't resonate, all those things. And so one of the things you get to learn to do is not only develop thick skin, which is not necessarily a bonus here, but I guess you could consider it one. Prototypes aren't just about figuring out what mechanic is going to work and the kinds of decisions that people are making on the job. That's really what your prototype is, for sure. But the other thing that it does is it builds trust between you and the people that you're working with. That's why I think prototypes and prototypes with the right people can not only have you quickly move through ideas to see if it actually makes sense, but also it allows you to create a relationship with your stakeholder, that you are somebody who is agile, who's willing to work with them and create something that really meets their specific needs. Number 10, you get to create something that people actually enjoy and find valuable. You are creating something that's not only contextual, but also highly personalized and deeply immersive, because storytelling is deeply immersive, and so is choosing your own adventure. So we get to do that for a living. I feel so blessed. Another piece that's really fantastic about some of these experiences is that they have a long shelf life. Content will come and go and you'll have to update it. But if you craft a meaningful interactive story, how you build confidence, how you become a leader, those things are almost timeless. And I can say that truly because when we designed Broken Coworker, our interactive story, which basically kind of set us on the path of interactive storytelling, I realized that now, 12 years later, people still go through that experience and they find it enjoyable, they find it transformative, they get lessons from it, because that's what stories are. They really are timeless. And imagine doing something that lasts more than 3 months. I mean, that's pretty fun. Number 12, getting great at working with articulate storyline. When you're building something, if you're a jack of all trades, then you get to dabble in everything, focusing on a project. And then the next project, you get to do something very similar, and you get to hone that skill because you're working within the same framework. And that's one of the things I actually found I learned from my partner, Ryan, is he's very good at setting up those patterns within the software, but also then after years of going back and refining, what's really cool is being able to create the user experience that is just as rich, but on the back end, it's getting simpler and simpler and simpler to develop because you've refined it over time. It's no longer overwhelming. You get to work on projects that people are actually excited about. Now, imagine showing up to meetings where we're talking about a character and their struggles and what they're going to go through, and coming up with all these ideas about how they're going to be challenged as a leader, how they're going to be challenged as a customer service rep. Like, those are fun projects. And you do have to find your champions and the people that really enjoy that. But 9 times out of 10, people will enjoy that project way more than any other content stuff. And that you draw that energy from them, and it becomes something that drives the project forward. Super bonus, you get to work with other creatives. One of the things that I really enjoyed is working with illustrators. Visual storytelling and communication is actually their first language, and my 50th language. It's totally not something that I consider myself really strong at. But then when you work with somebody who is really good at that, they can take your work and your vision to the next level. And I feel like there's this giddiness that you get when somebody is returning back with all these custom images that they've drawn. So I saved the best for last, getting good at taking and integrating feedback. Getting feedback from people can sometimes be, especially if it's something that you start getting attached to, getting feedback can be very difficult. And for me, when I started really internalizing that if somebody gives me feedback, it's something that I create a better product as a result of it. It means also that they care. It means also that they can contribute. It also means that I don't have to take that feedback. I can actually incorporate what I think is best. I developed a different relationship with all those words that I was getting back, with all those comments. And also, one of the things that also helped me do is really get focused about how I'm directing people to get feedback. I found that most of the feedback that I got was, when it wasn't on point, it was because I wasn't really directing people and hand-holding them enough to give me what they wanted. So they gave me what was easy. They gave me what they defaulted to. I hope you enjoyed these 15 reasons why interactive stories are just amazing to get good at, because there are so many skills you get to develop along the way. Now, obviously, I don't want you to get intimidated by this list, but it is something that I think that with every single interactive story that you develop, you can say, I'm going to get better at this. I'm going to get better at this. Next time, I'm going to really hone this piece. And also the other pieces, listen, we get to go back. You can go back to your project and be like, visual communication wasn't so awesome. I know there's a better way I can do this, and I can say it with less words. Let's try that. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But as they say, good work or great work and great art is never finished. It is only abandoned. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any other ones. I talk about interactive storytelling and e-learning and other things, obviously, on my channel. The other thing is that if you liked it, let me know in the comments which piece resonated with you the most. And if there's a piece here about a specific skill set or more examples that you'd like to see about a specific point that I mentioned, let me know in the comments which one you'd like to be turned of these 15 into its own bona fide video, and I can do that. All right. So I hope you have a fabulous rest of the day, and I'll talk to you next time, friends. Bye.